What is up, everybody? How we doing? How we feeling? Welcome to another episode of the Final Vibe podcast. My name is Kevin Reap, and alongside me is my co-host, Andrew White. Andrew, are you ready for another episode?
Kevin, I'm ready for another episode, and I'm super excited to welcome a friend of several years now and a very respected person in the music industry, Melissa Mulligan. Melissa, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Melissa, we are both in the in-home studio. You are not. Where do you join us from today?
I am joining you from my Airbnb lifestyle in Connecticut right now.
Very nice. Very nice. That sounds like it's probably beautiful there for some reason. I always think Connecticut is like the most beautiful place. Is that true?
Is it because, did you watch Gilmore Girls? Do you think it's all like Stars Hollow?
I haven't.
That's so funny.
seen
Is that where Gilmore Girls takes place?
Yes.
That's
and
so
I've
funny.
never been in a town that looks or behaves anything like the town that Gilmore Girls is in.
This is not an official question, but which character do you relate to most in Gilmore Girls?
Luke, the guy who owns the diner.
Okay, perfect.
I love it. Okay, let's start from the very beginning and get to know you a little bit more personally before we dive into the business. How would you describe yourself to our listeners?
This is an assignment that I give people, so I should be ready for this. I would describe myself as in love with human kindness, addicted to creativity, and a compulsive coach.
Holy smokes.
That's one of the best descriptions
Wow,
we've heard
yes.
yet, Kevin. You
let's-
have to push her on that one.
I was about to. And
Did you write all
yes,
3 points down,
So
Kevin?
in love with human kindness.
I think you should.
Break that down a little bit. What does that mean to you personally and then probably professionally as well?
I can't get enough of it, and I just, it's what lights me up the most. A lot of people think that, I'm a music coach because music is my favorite thing, but that's not true. It's because people are my favorite thing and music is my skill set. Yeah, there's just nothing greater than human kindness, right? Like, what can't it do?
That's really powerful. And I think before we get too far too, now that you've mentioned the music, give us a brief background on what you do now. And then I think we'll come full circle on the full story of music. But tell us what you do with music, and then we'll try to connect the dots between kindness and how it all plays together.
Sure. Um, I'm a I'm a coach by trade, and a lot of the vocal coaching and songwriting and creativity and career coaching that I do is with people who are professionals. People who are on tour, on the radio, behind the scenes, living their dreams. But my favorite kind of coaching, where I do a lot of either free work or online mastermind programs, my favorite type of coaching really is with the aspiring professional, because they are the ones being fueled by the dream. They are the ones trying to be the next generation of art makers, relevant art makers, and they're doing it for all the right reasons. And I think, honestly, every professional client of mine still sees themselves that way as the dream chaser, and so do I. So I'm just very, very blessed that I get to spend all day, every day with people chasing their dreams and living their dreams.
It doesn't take but a minute of researching your business and the time that you've put into it, and you've been extremely successful for a very long time now. Was there ever a moment where you realized you had made it? And do you celebrate those big milestones along the way, or do you just kind of keep your head down and keep moving forward and trying to help as many people as you can?
Huh. What a great question. I have a mentor who sits me down from time to time and says, "You've made it," or "Congratulations," or "You need to take a beat." That's Mike Mangini. And Wes, you've had the pleasure Andrew, you've had the pleasure of meeting Mike. So if it weren't for Mike, I probably wouldn't, honestly. I kind of simultaneously always feel like I'm where I need to be, and I need to focus on where I'm going next simultaneously all the time.
I like that. That almost sounds like the perfect description of contentment without complacency to me. I think I can say this for a lot of people. It's so tempting to feel like things are never good enough. But if you can feel like things are good enough and yet be excited about the next thing while still appreciating the moment, to me, at 29 years old, that seems like the best balance. Do you resonate with that? I see you nodding your head. Hopefully that means you're affirming me.
Totally. Yeah. I'm a big believer in living in the both and all the time, you know, that you are simultaneously, like we said, right, simultaneously where I need to be and also dreaming big, simultaneously road mapping your way toward exactly where it is you're envisioning your life, and also completely releasing control of the outcome and being open to whatever else is the result of the work you're putting in today. I love living in those seeming contradictions because that's where the magic happens, and that's what keeps your effort the point.
It's so interesting to hear you say that because I think what you just described is so terrifying for so many people, but you say it with a grin on your face, and I can see that you're excited about it. How do you think you're able to do that? Like, were you always that way, or like, where is that coming from? Because so many people, I think, would be so anxious hearing that maybe the point is just to do your best and put your creativity out there and just release the outcome to whatever fate or destiny may hold.
I think it comes from, well, a couple of things. I think actually you guys asked really good questions. When I was a struggling recording artist, see, now you're right, we are going to go full circle to how everything came to be. But when I was a struggling recording artist, I got very anxious because I felt like I was working so hard every day and failing every day. This is really hard to get results. You can write the music you love and release it and share it and have your CD release parties, and you wake up every day and you don't feel one single step closer to having a Grammy, you know, which is still the dream, by the way. It'll be for music education, maybe, but it's still.
It's still on the table.
What's that?
It's still on the table for sure.
It is absolutely on the table. I have several artists who have promised to give me
That's
their
awesome.
Grammy when they get their first one, so maybe
Perfect.
that'll be it. But what I did to get through that period of my life was I kept a journal, like a black book like this, by my computer, and every day on the left-hand side, I would write down my input, everything I had done that day toward my goals, even the tiniest things. I emailed these people, I made some new promo posters, I wrote a song, I would make that list. And on the right side, I would list down any happy surprises, outcomes, compliments, good things that had come my way that day. And what I noticed was the universe is full of surprises. I would be working really, really hard toward getting a gig in this one particular venue. And then out of nowhere, I would get this invitation. Somebody had seen me somewhere and wanted me to come play in Nashville. And that was above and beyond anything that I was working toward. I think I was inadvertently collecting data that supported that notion of growth mindset, putting in your time and effort where you can, and then releasing that outcome.
Melissa, that makes me kind of want to hear the full story. Do you think you can give us a condensed version of how this all came to be? Because to be honest, I don't know that I know the whole story. I want to hear about your starving artist days.
Um, they weren't very long lived.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, they weren't very long lived. Um, I found early on that here's another life lesson. The feeling inside the dream is more important than the literal dream that you've come up with. So the feeling inside of me being a recording artist for a living was creative fulfillment, being surrounded by love and respect, having a community of my peers who respected and honored my work. And at the time, in the era that I was doing the independent recording artist thing, I was lonely. I was around, I was playing in bars and clubs very late at night, being objectified and sexually harassed, quite frankly. And really kind of around a pretty dark vibe. And so none of the feelings that I was making a living, but none of the feelings that I was chasing were present. And it was very depressing, very confusing. And I was teaching voice at the Little Red School in Stratford, Connecticut, as a side gig. And was in my 20s. And this little girl that I was teaching came running in from the rain, wrapped me up in a big hug and said, I look forward to this all week. And I just went, oh no, I like this better. I'm going to be one of those people, aren't I? I'm going to be one of those people that says, never mind, I'm giving up on that childhood dream to go do something else that I found that I like better. And I wasn't happy about it at the time. I was kind of disappointed in myself. My inner 15-year-old was like, you loser, you're so lame. But in that moment, I knew. It took me a couple more years to really make the full transition. But I just knew that made me happier.
So that's so interesting. I'm curious to know what you think about any circumstance in life that you just described where you thought and you did for a long time that you had one specific dream, and then in a moment you realized maybe it was different, and you felt like maybe you didn't actually know yourself, at least in that moment, as well as you thought you did. What do you attribute that to? Like, what is I don't know what you I don't want to use weird terms, but is the universe talking to you? Is it talking to us? Like, what's going on there?
I think that it's an inner knowing. I don't know where it comes from. I think there are probably signs and messages all around that we're just not open to most of the time because we're just putting our heads down and doing the work. And because we're locked into not the feelings inside of our dreams, but the thing that we think is going to make us feel great, valued, successful, like a contributor, And I was doing so much soul searching at that time. I was just so devastated that I wasn't happy, and I thought I would be. I think that girl maybe she was meant to come in and drop that truth bomb in my lap. I don't know.
And she had no idea, probably. She was just being a child.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool. All right, Kevin, take us a new direction. What do we got?
Well, I want to touch more on the students that you impact. I think it's awesome that your success, it stems from students that you teach and their success, and you get to watch them see their dreams come true. So what is that like for you? Because you've had students that have signed to major record labels and, like you said, toured the world and won major record labels and done all sorts of impressive things. So what is that like for you to sit back and watch that success stem from the program that you have created?
What's interesting is that the success part, the business success, causes me a lot of anxiety. My goal is for the people that I work with to be really happy and really fulfilled. And that doesn't always come from the success part. So when I'm working with someone who then signs to a label, that's kind of like, I feel like they need me more. That's the beginning of a real hero's journey right there. It can be the most difficult part of your career. It's the starting line. So sometimes the biggest rewards I get are just that, someone who was already successful for having an amazing singing voice is writing and recording and releasing music on her own terms. And she's creatively fulfilled like she never was before. And she has confidence and she's standing up for herself and the way she navigates her career. That's the stuff that makes me feel really successful and like I've had a true impact on someone's journey.
I'm curious too, what are the hallmark characteristics of a very immature artist or musician early? And then how do you know that they are growing into professionalism and maturity in their craft?
Oh, what an interesting question. So you mean immature, not in terms of like their skill development. You mean in terms of like their mindset?
Yeah, I mean more mindset because one thing that we haven't touched on at all yet really is you're so big on mindset. And I hear you, even the way you speak is noticeably different than people that I interact with. You talk about mindset, you talk about being creatively fulfilled, you talk about kindness. And those just aren't words that everybody throws around all the time. So I would love to know what your interpretation of those things are. What are the personality traits of an immature artist who really wants to be the next big thing or at least make the most of their potential?
Well, it really all comes from uh, a fixed mindset, that sort of lack of maturity, and you can have that lack of maturity at 10 and no 80. I mean, you don't have to get out of fixed mindset if you don't choose to, right? um, but for me, that less mature perspective is comparative. Is believes that talent is this fixed thing, and somebody's more talented than me, there's no way that I could compare, or I need to be more talented than someone else, as if the word talent even makes sense. We can talk about that maybe. Um, so it's comparative, it's competitive, it has that zero sum mentality of there's only so much success available. And if someone else becomes successful, that means there's less success available for me. Um, and then a natural less mature mindset is normal, and that's just fear of failure, fear of being judged. And I mean, people today have that more than ever because of social media. um, Teens living their lives in permanent marker for the world to see is something I'm glad I missed.
So, Melissa, what do you think about social media and how it's impacting specifically young musicians? And maybe not even the music side of it, but the imagery and I don't mind talking about this, but the sexuality of it, especially I wonder for the young women how you feel about how sexual the music business can be in the images and music videos and whatnot. And I think kids aspire to do those things someday. And you can feel free to disagree, but what's your take on that? And how is that shaping young people's minds?
Well, that's interesting. I've noticed that I tend to attract um, people who really aspire to be excellent at their craft. I don't attract, nor do I work with people who seek fame. Um, I'm not saying that the excellent musicians wouldn't love to become that successful and famous, but they're not looking for fame at all costs, notoriety, shortcuts. They're not looking to go viral on TikTok. Those aren't the people that I work with. I know they're out there in droves. That's not the work that I do. So, I kind of look at it as there's the entertainment industry, which is being completely driven by things that go viral, shock value, clickbait, all of this insanity. But then you still have this amazing artistic community in today's youth that are using social media to build community, to connect with each other, to lift each other up, to end racism, bigotry, um, misogyny, to call attention to the issues that they hold near and dear to their hearts. It pains me to see 14-year-olds holding themselves accountable to posting regularly about the Black Lives Matter movement. It pains me that they feel that sense of responsibility, but that's more what I'm witness to in my work.
And that makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of that is probably the reputation that you've created for yourself your whole life. So I think that speaks to your character. Do you prefer it this way, to be working with the musically talented and not necessarily those who are seeking fame?
Yes, I say it in all of my content that I am not for you. If you are looking to, we have a lot of famous and successful members of our coaching staff. So we're very clear when we put out content that we say we are not for you. If you are looking to network with our team to get noticed or to become to become famous, if you're looking for a shortcut to that, then it's okay. There are other places that will work with you, but we're not the right fit.
I think that transitions really well into mentorship, which is something we wanted to touch on. Kevin, you've got a great question about that.
Yeah, I noticed when I was looking at your website, you mentioned mentorship and you said it was something that you seek out daily. And you've actually already brought it up on this episode, a mentor that you have. And one thing we want to do with this podcast is provide practical things that people can implement in their lives. And I don't think a lot of people, when they get past the age of maybe college, think about mentors as a resource that they could find a mentor that can coach them through certain parts of life. And then in the same token, they can coach other people who might be a step behind them in the same way. So what does mentorship mean to you? And for you to say that you seek it out daily, it obviously means a lot. How has that impacted you? And can you point to an example of either when you've been a mentor or been mentored that has led you kind of down the right path?
I can't remember a time where I didn't feel like I had a mentor. My parents were mentors to me, and they're both. My dad passed 10 years ago, sadly, but my mom went back to school when I was a kid, and she became a teacher for talented and gifted students. And I always tell people, I'm certain she did that just to understand me, because I was probably a very different kid than what she was expecting. Um, so I think I was just raised to believe that life is a classroom. And so I've just constantly wanted to surround myself with people that had things to teach me.
I think that the episode title for this one is going to be Life is a Classroom. I've never heard that. I love that.
Yeah. And so, I was always taught that there's no such thing as failure, right? Only information. There's no such thing as a wrong decision or a wrong choice, simply just information that you can use for the next choice that you want to make along the decision tree of life.
Okay, Melissa, we've talked about life and the decisions that you've made and your business. Let's go up a level and talk about legacy and what that means to you and the impact that you want to have and what you want people to think about when they think about the life that you lived. So that's a big loaded question, I know, but what does legacy mean to you?
That is a big question. um, if you had asked me that, a few years ago, I probably would have talked about, I just want to be known for being selfless and bringing joy and just being of service, probably. But as my work has grown and my reach has grown, unexpectedly so, really, due to social media, I feel a lot differently about it now. So I like that I'm being asked to, you're making me realize I think about it differently now. I don't think that modeling selflessness to young adults is great. Young adults need to learn boundaries and self-advocacy and self-care, just as much as I don't really think they need a lot of help being empathetic, sensitive creatures. They are. I think it's harder for them to realize their own worth. And I've started to really try to model that, to model my confidence and my independence and my strengths. and my emotional resiliency. And so, in addition to being someone who can introduce you to, new skills, new musical skills, a lot of people can do that. I want to be the person who introduced you to entrepreneurial thinking and infinite creative wisdom and emotional resilience, at a young age. Because a 15-year-old can adapt to growth mindset in ways that would blow your minds. They give me such hope for the future when we can have those sorts of connections in classes. And so that's where I am right now. Might be somewhere else in a couple of years, but that would be so meaningful to me.
I love your perspective on that, and I think you have a unique perspective that gives you a unique way to answer that question, and that was a phenomenal answer to that question.
It was a great answer, and I have to get excited by you saying that because I think a huge part of the reason we started this brand is because we felt like so many people weren't realizing their own potential. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think what I heard you say was it's a really beautiful thing when you can be sort of a guide to younger people who just they don't know how to become the best versions of themselves, or they don't know how to think in new ways or challenge themselves or evoke the most amount of creativity. I feel like I've been that suppressed person in different stages of life, and it's so upsetting to look back on when you feel like you fell short of your potential, and that bums me out. Do you I wonder actually, Melissa, tell me, are there any huge regrets that you have that you wish someone like yourself could sort of had have walked you through when you were younger?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. And if I had changed anything back then, I wouldn't be where I am now, blah, blah, blah. Of course, we get that, right? Universal perspective. But yeah, I held myself back from pursuing music a lot, many times in my life. I would commit to it and then quit and go do something safer, and then wind up crying in the fetal position on the floor because, I hated my life. And then I go back to it, and then I wouldn't like being poor and living out of my car and go get a job. And, I really I didn't have a me or a Mike Mangini or a community of people around me to give me good information. So I was going about it all the wrong ways, following all the bad advice, hitting, hitting roadblocks and quitting a lot. And that was pretty exhausting.
And tell us really quickly, Mike Mangini is a very significant person in music and other things. He's not a household name for a lot of people that will be listening. So tell us a little bit about Mike, as much as you want to, and just sort of the clout that he has, because he's a very accomplished person. I don't want to limit him to only his accomplishments, because I'm sure that his character is something that you value a lot too. So just tell us a little bit about Mike.
Sure. It's like Mike's elevator pitch. We can
Yeah,
start with.
let's give him that.
um, so Mike Mangini is a two-time Grammy winner, multi-Grammy nominee, and multi platinum selling producer and songwriter. He's worked with everyone from the Beastie Boys to Joss Stone, Dionne Warwick, Smash Mouth, recently AJR, Andy Grammer, launched the career of the Jonas Brothers, ladies and gentlemen.
You heard it here first.
Yep. So, I mean, pretty much anyone in the music industry that you could think of, he's worked with or is very closely associated with, their people and their team. It's a small industry. I met Mike more than 10 years ago. I was interviewed by him and then hired to work on a project with him. And I really credit him for encouraging me to step up my game, so to speak. He had a lot of talks with me about, hey, look, like I have worked with and hired the most famous vocal coaches in the industry, and the same science that they know because the science is the same. right? There's no secrets to the anatomy that they know that you don't know. So stop acting like you don't know as much. And you have a way with artists that no one else has. And you need to start embracing that and getting ready to be tremendously successful. Please get ready to be tremendously successful and set yourself up for that. And if it weren't for him, I would have probably played it pretty small.
That's so crazy because I know you said that, everything happens for a reason and universal perspective and blah, blah, blah. I was resonating with that because people always say that when we talk about regrets, and I think we all get that. But it does make me wonder um, who you would be if it had not been for him. And then, of course, the genealogy of every other important person that you've interacted with. And then beyond that, all the people that you've influenced. So if he never influenced you, you never influenced all these people we've never met. I've never worked for you in the past. And it's this very bizarre thing. This podcast doesn't exist and nobody's getting any value. Doesn't that kind of make your head spin a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I probably don't look back all that often to take stock of things because I'm so present to future focused all the time. But it is September is the 10-year anniversary of me starting my own company. So it probably is time, Andrew, you're right, for me to maybe think about how wild all of this is.
Well, I think there's a lot to be said for enjoying the moment too. Which this is hilarious that we're so far into the podcast episode. Melissa, what is the name of your company? We should have gone over this 80 minutes ago, but
The official name of my company is Melissa Mulligan Vocal Studio because it started as me, one person, as a vocal coach. And so that's in a lot of my branding, you'll see MMVS, and that's what that stands for. The series of online group programs that my team of like 15 of us and I now run is called the Music Career Mastermind.
very cool. Very
We
cool.
made everybody wait for it.
We did. We were like, well, it's almost like you have to earn the interest of the audience, I'm
Yeah.
totally kidding.
No.
I'm totally kidding. We can't let them know that you're important before you start talking. The story comes out that way.
Well, Melissa, I wanted to ask another question about kind of a practical step. I know that journaling is important to you because you left a fantastic comment on our Instagram post actually a couple weeks ago, and you touched on journaling and your life. And you started, I think you said, at 10 years old, and you wrote on the first page to yourself 20 years from now. So when you look at your day-to-day routine, where does journaling fit, and what impact does that have in keeping this mindset that you have?
That's a great question. It is kind of a subconscious habit at this point. I have 3 of these journals around me right now. I just chronically feel good when I have a pen in my hand and a page beneath it. So I find sadly that I journal less for like a history of my life now. I do that a lot less because I spend so much time pouring it out into my classes and Facebook posts and Instagram. I feel like I'm always trying to be so authentic that I have nothing left that I need to write about a lot of times now in terms of a personal journal. But I always have it around for whenever I feel the need to, write a song or just sort of take a note of something that's happening in my brain.
I've noticed that in my own life where I will, after you get more active on Twitter and social media, you just inherently, it's harder to sit down and write all that stuff again. But it's still nice that we have it, as long as we still do, hopefully in 10 to 20 years.
Right, as long as we still have access to our own words on those apps. Yeah,
Exactly.
And I think about that sometimes.
True.
It's a little scary.
Melissa, what informs your decisions on a daily basis? Like where are you pulling that from? If that's too ambiguous, I could be more specific, but
I like it. I like that. Okay, so my intention every day is to make decisions that are aligned with my purpose. I know that sounds all really big and Oprah-esque, but look, I've been doing a lot of work on myself for a long time. This is where I've landed.
No, I love it.
That's my intention. That's my gut check. But if I'm being honest, a lot of what guides my decisions are the needs of my community. So if I wake up and I've got emails from parents who are all freaking out about COVID and back to school, and I'm seeing it all over Instagram and Facebook, and the artists that I work with are freaking out about things like that, then I will feel compelled to host a free Zoom call that night or that week, either for parents or teens or both, where we talk about road mapping in the music industry today based upon what's going on in the world. Or I might get an inspiration to put together, like we did during the quarantine, we did 70 free or pay what you can events in a row without taking a day off. And that was just pure inspiration from me feeling like I could meet a need. So yeah, it's a mixture of me very intentionally making decisions based upon, my purpose and my vision for my work, but then also being sometimes very responsive, and sometimes it's just me feeling anxious that I haven't done enough or didn't do the right thing yesterday.
Sure. I think we all have an ideal answer that we want to be able to say about why we do what we do. I think what you said is really cool because in a way, I think it's actually very simple. And like the first point you spoke to was that you try to act out of what you believe your own purpose is. So it's sort of self-oriented. And then the second thing you said is how to respond to the needs of others. So it's just very simply how you're sort of receiving information about yourself and how you can give that to the world, and then also meeting the needs of people around you.
I get out of alignment all the time, and I can tell. I start to feel whenever my brain responds to an email with, I am just one person, that's when I know that I've just been giving and bleeding out and responding and not thinking and not being intentional at all. I've just been trying to slap Band-Aids on other people's discomfort rather than taking a minute and figuring out, how do I best respond, or is it even my job to respond, to what I'm seeing and hearing.
So to that point, what refills you when you give and you give and you give to your maximum capacity? What is your like restorative therapy that brings you back to that happy place?
You just revealed my Achilles heel
Uh-oh.
and my blind spot. I have a massive self-preservation blind spot, and that's my work right now. I will do the numbing thing of like, potato chips and Netflix and still feel horrible. I'm not great. I resist the restorative practices. I have friends who are so good at meditation and yoga, and they just want to help me so badly, and they try. They try. The thing when I really, really, really need something, I usually remember to pick up the guitar and sing. And if I can remember to do that and call a friend, then those are my things right now.
Very cool. Having known you before this podcast, I knew before this that your tendency was to give until it was all gone. And there were many times that I wondered where it was all coming from and if there would be a breaking point. But you don't seem to have broken yet.
I would get snippy. That's how you know.
Well, I think that's true of all of us. The patience runs dry. Melissa, we do have to ask. We've asked everyone but one. We forgot last week. Just sort of a lighthearted question. How much protein do you think you eat per day?
How much protein? When I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I eat a lot of protein, but not enough lately.
Well, tell us what you mean when what you're supposed to do. That sounds very heavy. What are you supposed to do?
I don't remember any. You guys, you coaches change it all the time on us. I don't know. I don't know how much protein we're supposed to eat anymore.
Just enough.
Just enough.
Just enough.
Was it 80 grams, 64 grams of protein? How much?
Well, I think everybody is different, but I mean, if you had 80 grams, that would be a heck of a start. Yeah.
I was doing that like not that long ago. I think I was doing about 80 grams of protein a day. It was a lot of protein shakes, a lot of protein powder.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not bad.
It can be. Kevin, that's maybe the best answer we've gotten. You know, we told a lady once, we asked if it was above or below 300, and she said, I have no idea. So, for context, a lot of people don't know their protein intake.
That's why we're asking. We're just trying to bring awareness to it.
We do. We want to bring protein awareness.
The other question that we ask everybody, it'll just take another second. What is and you've seen more food places than average because you've lived in New York City. What is your favorite fast food restaurant?
Oh, I despise fast food.
Okay, that's a fine answer too.
That is a fine answer.
The other 11 people we've asked have said Chick-fil-A, so we have to ask if it's Chick-fil-A or not.
Wow, it would not be Chick-fil-A.
Not that one.
Definitively not. I can say I hate all fast food and I do not eat at Chick-fil-A.
There you go. Perfect. Actually, I have two more quick questions. Actually, one's a quick question, and then one hopefully will send us off into the final vibe horizon, leaving everybody feeling good. The lighthearted one is just really quick. What's the best thing about having lived in New York City? I think that was a dream of yours for a while, and it happened. What's the best thing about New York, and will you go back?
I do. Going back is on my vision board. I've released the outcome, but I do choose to believe that I will live there again. The best thing about New York is the people. The surprise answer from me, right? It's the people. They're so creative. Everyone is in New York because they want to do something. No one's there because it's easy or inexpensive or convenient to raise a family. No one's there for any of those suburban reasons. They're there because they have an idea. They have an idea. It might be crazy, but they have some kind of a vision that's not normal. And I love being around those people.
I totally get it. I think Kevin and I are a little bit jealous because that culture isn't as powerful where we live in Missouri. There are people doing it, but I don't think anything compares to the New Yorks, the Los Angeles, the Paris. It's just not the same. So I think I speak for both of us when I say we're a little bit jealous. On a probing note, if you could go back in time and visit yourself when you were younger, what advice would you give? Or like what sort of inspirational words would you say?
Oh, this is a totally, different topic, but I would do my best to heal that young girl's body image, appearance image pain. Because that's a tremendous trauma for most young women, I think, but for me in particular. And there was a lot of time and energy spent on that when I could have just been happy.
It's heavy, but it's sobering and it's true. And I think a lot of people relate to that. And I guess when you think about it, when you think about revisiting the past and offering words of advice, it's usually how to avoid the hard things, the dark places that you dwelled in for a while. I appreciate you being honest about that. Kevin and I love the vulnerable parts of the podcast. We don't like the cookie cutter answers. So I super appreciate you being transparent.
Melissa, this was such a fantastic episode. We really do appreciate your transparency, and we got to touch on your life and then the practical aspects of how you do what you do, and it really is an incredible resume when you looked at everything you've accomplished. So thank you for taking this time to chat with us, and I'm sure all of our listeners are going to take a ton from this. Where can they find you if they wanted to find more about you or your business?
Sure. The website is mastermindroad.com. And you can find me on Instagram. I am at Mel Mulligan, MELMLLIGAN.
Perfect. And what's your social media style? What are we going to get when we land on your Instagram page?
Oh, on my on my Instagram page, you're gonna get shameless, transparent selfies of me keeping it real, and then I just started talking about my work a little bit more. I have a separate Instagram for my business, but that's being run by my clients now, by my students. So yeah, you're just gonna see me, just a human being a human.
I love that.
Love it.
Humans being humans. Perfect. Melissa, thank you so much. Uh, we've enjoyed it, and we'll have to have you on again in the future. See how things go once you're back in New York.
I would love that.
Perfect.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. That was a fantastic episode.
Dude, that was, oh man, so many good topics. I think we could have talked for 4 or 5 hours, honestly.
I think so too. Let's peel back the onion a little bit because this is the most live we're going to be probably for a while. You are about to edit this episode tonight and it's going to drop tomorrow morning, August 25th.
That's right. It's Monday, August 24th right now. It's 8:47 Central Standard Time.
Yeah, we worked around Melissa's schedule and we're going to make this happen for our listeners. We're not going to miss a Tuesday
No,
release.
we're not.
Can't happen.
Hashtag no excuses.
No excuses. But we're still here for the banter at the end for the for our moms, really. That
Just
make
a
it this
little bit.
far.
Just a little bit.
Little bit. Is that what I said?
No, that's what I said. That's
Okay.
what Jason Derulo said.
Little bittle?
Mhm.
Little bit of bantle?
Just a little bit.
Right. What's new? We get cameras.
Oh, that is for sure the biggest update. What did we do? Tell them what we did, Kevin.
We both invested in the future of our businesses and lives by purchasing cameras designed specifically for vlogging. So you are about to, whether you're ready or not,
And they're not.
and they don't really probably want to be, but here it comes. Our faces are going to be all over the place.
Can't wait.
Yeah, we're going to live life with people and show you what it's like to, I don't know, implement some of these things that we're talking about because we like to think that we are and we're not perfect. And we're going to go through these journeys together with other people on YouTube. It'll be fun.
Kevin, I think I'm smelling what you're stepping in, but are you saying that we're going to become vloggers?
I think that I wrote it yesterday and it felt weird to write. It feels weirder to say it, but I think we are about to become vloggers.
I think it feels just right. Never felt any better.
It does feel good. It feels like now's the time. 2020 is the year to start the vlog. So here it comes, folks. What other updates do we have? The students are back at the University of Missouri, which is where I work. So times are weird there, but fun. It feels really good to have people back on campus.
Except on Sunday afternoons when you try to go to Walmart.
Yeah.
Absolute disaster.
Walmart has been ruined.
Run for your life.
Yep. All stores are kind of ruined now.
Yeah. I don't know. See, if you live in a college town, you know what it's like to have the fun college buzz. It's cool. Normally, it's moving forward toward football season in a non-pandemic world, which is typically more exciting than living in a pandemic world. But I think we're gonna make the best of it.
I think so. I feel like
Kevin-
the football season might actually be happening.
I think it's going to. We play Alabama the first game of the year. What's your prediction? Give me a score.
Oh my, a score. I think we're going to catch them sleeping and only lose by 48.
Okay, so you thinking like 53-5 or what?
48-0.
Hmm,
I'm just kidding. I don't know. Who's our quarterback? We don't know.
I don't.
I think
We
our
don't
team
know.
gets like 5 practices.
We have no idea.
we have a
Mr.
new
Drinkwitz, we wish you the best. We're
yeah,
rooting
best
for you.
of luck. I wish him nothing but success. I will be watching from my couch, I guess.
I'll be there.
How do you know are you the 25%?
I will be there.
Wow. I will not be there this year
That's
for the
okay.
first time in
That's
11
okay.
years. What up? Do you have any updates?
I mean, I don't have any super exciting updates except, well, let's not downplay the camera thing. That's a big deal.
It is a
I'm
big
going to
deal.
talk about why it's a big deal.
Yeah.
I have been a long time lover of YouTube. I consume YouTube like no other. I love following certain people in the fitness space. I learned so much. It's like my thing. It is my choice media consumption. And to think about jumping into that YouTube space, which I've tried before, by the way. I have an active YouTube channel. I just haven't posted in a long time. To get back into it and bring a new spin on fitness and lifestyle and everything in between and whatever it's supposed to be or becomes. Dude, I am jazzed. And you know I'm jazzed.
I know you're jazzed, and your jazziness
Mhm.
has me jazzed.
Yeah.
I haven't really been a YouTuber until like March. It's just been a few months. I used to go to YouTube to learn how to do something that I needed to do, and that was it. But now I'm following the people, and at first you're like, this is kind of weird, and then you can't wait for their videos, and you got all these people on your subscription list, and it's a blast to watch.
It's
So
fun.
I can't wait.
It's fun. I can't wait either. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, too, I want to speak to how it relates to Final Vibe. The thought of putting myself on camera, really uncomfy. Really uncomfy. And I could very easily have never bought the camera. You and I kind of made excuses for a while. We're like, oh, it's expensive. We can't afford it. You know what? You know what I would say to myself? And I know this for sure. I'm making excuses. It is expensive. Save up. Buy the camera. make the right choice and just get out there and do the thing. So hashtag final vibe your life this week, whatever that means. Take the step, get out of your comfort zone. If you're feeling too comfy, you're probably not growing.
Yeah.
How's that for a little rah-rah speech at the end of a podcast?
I love it. And then don't forget to share your journey. Whenever you start doing these uncomfy things, put hashtag final vibe on your post when you share them online. And we'll cheer you on every step of the way, as will the entire Final Vibe group.
Kevin, I could be wrong, but I think I hear the outro music
I hear it
sneaking in
coming.
the background.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Okay, well, let's do it then.
Okay.
All right. Well, don't forget, everybody, if you're looking to change your life and focus more on your own legacy, a Final Vibe membership provides you with immediate access to a community of people doing just that, as well as other exclusive content and soon-to-be vlog content. Today's episode was produced by co-host Andrew White. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to future episodes and tell one other person about us. We appreciate all the support that we've received so far, and we hope to see you online. Final Vibe is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Final Vibe. And you can see our website, apparel, shop, coffee, all kinds of fun stuff at finalvibe.com. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. We'll see you back here next Tuesday for another episode. Thank you so much for listening.
Take it easy, folks, and enjoy your Tuesday. I love that outro so much.
I do too. It's fantastic.